in the week, I was told by all the pundits that a Quinnipiac poll showing Donald Trump tied with Hillary Clinton in the swing states of Ohio, Florida, and Pennsylvania were no big deal. In fact, let me read you a couple of headlines. Huffington Post. Don't freak out over the poll showing Trump leading Clinton in Ohio. A second article on Huffington Post. Trump leads Hillary in a poll. Take a deep breath and don't freak out. Okay. Now, I pointed out back then, back then as in like a day, 2 days ago, right? So no, but wait a minute. There's also an NBC News poll. There's a public policy polling poll. Now, those polls didn't have swing states, and Hillary Clinton had a slightly more comfortable lead. In the NBC News one, I think she had a 5-point lead, and even though Bernie Sanders had a 13-point lead against Trump. But I was like, these are very concerning numbers. And then you look into why it was so close, and you get even more disturbed because of all the negative numbers that she's got in, especially those swing states. But no. Even Nate Silver, Mr. Polling, sees a poll, and you think he'd care about the poll. That's what he does. No. He tweeted out a couple of days ago, for fuck's sake, America, you're going to go on a rant about general election polls in May? Nate, I got bad news for you. That's your job, is to look at the polls. And your job is to look at them in May and June and April and every month until we have the election to give us a snapshot of what it is today. That doesn't mean that we all assume that the poll in May is exactly what will happen in the election in November. No one assumes that. But it does give you a useful snapshot. Should Hillary Clinton be more aggressive in attacking Donald Trump? I don't know. Is she tied or is she winning by 20? That matters, right? But no, don't freak out. Now, I've got a new poll today, but before I do, I can't let it go, because this goes, and the reason why I'm making a big deal out of it is because it goes to the hubris of the establishment. Everybody, okay? Even Nate Silver, who I like and has been great in past elections, Huffington Post, who I like a lot, all these outlets. No, Trump can't win. Trump can't win. Oh, there's polls showing he can win. I ignore those polls. Here, I'll give you more. Here's from the Huffington Post article. It's going to be a long 6 months. Print this out and tape it to your computer if you feel the need to panic over every poll. So number one, don't freak out. Number two, look at the polls methods. Number three, look at the polling averages. Number four, don't freak out. Okay, so first of all, I don't appreciate that they stole "Don't Freak Out" from Jimmy Dore. That was his saying relating to Bernie Sanders. Anyway, but on the issues, I got polls. That's just one poll. You got to look at the polling averages. In that same article, they talked about, oh, don't worry, in Ohio, according to our polling averages, she's still up by 1 point. Yeah, that is a tremendous cause for concern. She's running against Donald Trump. I thought it was good. I was told by the establishment it would be super easy to beat Donald Trump. All of your polls average only has her up by 1 point in Ohio. The Quinnipiac poll has her down by 4 points in Ohio. Okay, but I'm going to get to the next one in a second. Just a couple more quotes here because again, their arrogance. But before you lose your mind over individual polls, heed our repeated warnings, look at the polling averages, and carefully consider the source. Quinnipiac polls have shown a consistent Republican lean-in comparison to other polls so far this year. They struggled in the primaries. Their previous polls in Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania lean more toward Trump than other surveys. It's Quinnipiac. They lean white. Wait a minute. I heard this before. The Bernie Sanders primary wins don't count. They're in weird states, white states. This doesn't count. That doesn't count. Right? And now we go to Politics USA. The poll Quinnipiac University released is based on the impossible assumption that 2016 will defy decades of trends and become more white, not less. Thus, Trump support is inflated in each state that they polled. No, impossible. No. The poll here was too weird, too white. Literally what they said about every Bernie Sanders victory. Oh, no. He closed a 60-point lead. He's made an unbelievable run at Hillary Clinton, even though it had no name recognition, and even though we all said the race was over even before it began. And no, states are weird and white. No. Now all of a sudden the polls are weird and white. I don't know if they know this. The majority of the country is white. Okay, so now we've got a new poll out. Guess what it shows? A nearly tied race. Oops. Am I supposed to ignore this one too? So let's go to Reuters. Donald Trump's support has surged, and he is now running nearly even with Democrat Hillary Clinton among likely U.S. voters. A dramatic turnaround since he became the Republican Party's presumptive presidential nominee, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll released on Wednesday. How many polls do you need before you realize it ain't going to be easy? Donald Trump only has one talent. If you think he doesn't know what he's talking about in policy, of course that's true. If you think he's a terrible businessman, he bankrupted 4 companies, of course that's true. Racist, bigoted, all those things, you can say all those things. But his one talent, unfortunately, is reading a crowd and then appealing to that crowd. So in the Republican primaries, he read his crowd, racist, bigoted, xenophobic, wants a strong alpha male baboon. And he gave it to him, right? Now he's reading the general election crowd, and he's giving them exactly what they want. And so it's not a surprise to me that he's tied, but to everybody in Washington, what am I going to do, believe my lying eyes? Math, numbers, the American people, no. The establishment in Washington is convinced that their gut says that Donald Trump can't win because they don't like him. Yes, bathe in your hubris and your arrogance and see the disaster that unfolds. So what are the specifics on this poll? Likely voters is what they measured. 41% Hillary Clinton, 40% Donald Trump, 19% undecided. She only has a 1-point lead, which, by the way, is a statistical tie because it's within the margin of error. And there's a whole 20% of the country who's going, I don't know, do I go with the megalomaniac bigot or do I go with Hillary Clinton? I'm not sure. They have to run a super aggressive campaign against them. If they don't, they're going to lose. No one in Washington believes that. They think, oh, alarmist. All right, let me give you more details of the poll to give you a sense of why she's in such bad shape. The Reuters Ipsos poll found earlier this month that a majority of voters did not trust either candidate with key presidential responsibilities such as managing the U.S. economy, handling the role of U.S. commander-in-chief, and conducting themselves according to a, quote, high moral standard. So I know, I can hear them now on Twitter. Cenk, you're biased. You think Bernie Sanders is more trustworthy. Well, you're right. I do think he's more trustworthy. No, you're not right. I'm not biased. I don't think that because he's my uncle or I knew him previously. No, that's what bias means. No, I think that based on my opinion of his policies, I agree with them. Agreeing with someone is not a bias, okay? That's your perspective. Now, but that's not why I believe that Bernie Sanders would do better in a general election. That's because I can read polls on like all of Washington. And the polls all say he scores much better on honesty, trustworthy, high moral standard, cares more about people like me in every single poll. He wins among young, he wins among independents against Donald Trump in overwhelming numbers. Hillary Clinton, oops, I don't know. We're tied on high moral standard. She's losing on trustworthiness. In the Quinnipiac poll, on honesty and trustworthy, she's losing on average by 9 points to Donald Trump, a serial pathological liar. And they think she's less trustworthy. No, I'm biased because I can read numbers and I understand polls. Okay. Anyway, look, this isn't about Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. That race is still going on. I understand the odds there, and I can read those numbers. Okay. This is about if you take Donald Trump for granted, you will lose. So stop taking him for granted and think that, oh, it's no problem, I got this. He can't possibly win. Yeah, that's what 16 other Republicans thought. Other Republicans. Okay, lastly, how could Hillary Clinton win? The poll says, voters surveyed in the poll said they would be more likely to support Clinton if her choice for vice president was a liberal. This is yet another thing that they are likely to ignore. No. America's center-right. They don't want a liberal, but the American people just said in that poll that they actually do want a liberal as their VP. No. My gut says my taxes would go up with a liberal. So no, I'm going to say that the American people don't want a liberal, even though they just said it. No one ignores a poll more than idiot pundits on TV and unfortunately all over the papers and the websites now. And sorry, I got to call you what you are because you apparently have no ability to read or understand numbers. Donald Trump is coming, and if you're not ready, he's going to roll over Hillary Clinton. I know. Everybody in Washington who heard that just chuckled. I do declare, he says the American people would vote for Donald Trump. We all know better, don't we, Charles? Yes, we do. Where's my monocle? Take take him for granted at your peril, man. You got to go after him, and you got to go after him right now.